everybody, it's Renee here, and I'm bringing you another video today showing you different things you should and should not do with a gel plate. So I am using some Poscas today, and I'm also using some books with toner. So the Posca pens I've pulled out today are 3 different sizes. I have the 3 mil with this tip, and this is the one I tend to use the most. This is a 5 mil. It's a little bit thicker, and I use this sometimes, but not when I'm usually drawing or doodling. And then I have this other one, and this is a 15 mil. It's a big one, and a lot of the times I use this for backgrounds if I need to fill in a large space because it has this big tip. So these are some of the black ones I do have. Posca has many different sizes, so if this is something you're interested in, you should check them out. And there's all different kinds of sizes, different colors, all kinds of things. So we will be using some of those in future projects, but this time I'm using the 3 mil. I am going to be tracing this page of stars, so I'm going to put it underneath my gel plate, and I'm going to draw out the stars using my Posca pen. I pulled this page from this awesome book. It's Collage Soup. It was in the Duck Duck Goose book, and I got this book and this other one you can see behind called Neither Here Nor There from Amazon. You can also get them from collagesoup.com. There are amazing different transfers in here, or you could use them for collage if you're into collage. We will be using some of these in our project today, and there's so many different ones, and these are great, like I said, for doing transfer pulls, and so many very cool images. Some have color, most of them are black and white, but they're a great source for our projects, and I think you'd enjoy them too. So you can just have a look at some of them. There's a whole bunch of different ones if you go on Amazon or even on Collage Soup. There's all different styles, all different themes. These are just the 2 I got. This one I really liked for all the cats. With me being kind of a crazy cat lady, I have lots of different cat images in here. This is really good. This is the reproduction. So you can't use it in whole, but if you're doing something different with images, it's okay, as stated in the book. Some other ways you can do some image transfers are magazines. These ones I pulled out of Elle and out of Vogue. And there's some great ones. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. You just have to try and find out and just play around. I find it just depends what kind of paper the image has been put on. So that is usually a huge help. I do have a laser jet. So you can also do laser jet prints, and those sometimes work as well. It has to be toner ink. So if you have a laser jet or even a photocopier, those should work. So we will play around with those at a different time. But for now, we are going to trace out these stars. So I'm only going to do probably 6 of them in the middle of the area. And I'm going to put those onto a project, and we're going to do some backgrounds as well. So as I was doing this, it was very difficult at times because you're looking straight down at the image, but I was looking through the gel plate kind of on its side. So some of the stars may not be totally aligned because I had a harder time seeing them. But it's lots of fun to doodle, even if you want to just draw and doodle or write, that works too. But again, you can trace things, which is very easy when you can put it behind or underneath the gel plate. The gel plate I'm using is an 8x10, and it works great. There's larger, there's smaller, and I will be showing you some smaller ones and different things we can do with them as well. I will be having a lot more gel plate creations coming up, so you're going to want to hit that subscribe, the bell notification and the all, so you get all future videos coming up, because there's going to be lots more mixed media and gel plates coming. And if you like my videos, I appreciate a like. It makes it a lot easier for me, and then it shows that you're liking the content, so I know what to create for you. So as you can see, I'm filling in the stars. I'm just a little bit, because there might be some color behind them. And again, it's just fun to create and draw. With the Posca, you want to make sure you don't push too hard, because you don't want to have blops of ink dropping onto your gel plate. So just lightly draw them on. I used black just because it's darker. I mean, you could use any color, but the darker probably is going to show up the best. So lots of fun just drawing. There's going to be, like I said, lots more gel plate videos coming. So if there's certain things you want to see on the gel plate, make sure you drop me a comment and let me know what kind of things do you want to know how to do on a gel plate. Are there things you're struggling with? Are there things you just want to know how to create? I would love to hear from you, and I will see about making some videos on those to show you a little bit better. So like I said before too, I am showing you things to and not to do on your gel plate, because there's a lot of things that sometimes we do wrong, or when you're playing around, you may get a little bit discouraged because things aren't turning out the way you'd hoped. So this is one of those videos where I'm going to show you what I've done and what I should have done to have made my creation work a little bit better. So I am going to be showing you that with this pull. If you really like gel plate creations, also make sure you check out Devon Rex for Art, as she does lots of different mixed media and gel plate creations, and I will have her link down below in the description. She's a friend of mine, and she makes some beautiful creations as well. So just filling in these lines, filling in the space, and we will see what comes of this creation. I would normally speed this up, but I thought I would just wait so you can see exactly what I'm doing, because that's part of the process, is knowing what to and what not to do, and I don't want anybody to miss anything. So I'm almost done my stars. I only have one more after this, and then we're going to start adding our paint. And I will mention it again, but the paint I'm using on this creation is Liquitex. Liquitex is a great acrylic paint, which I really enjoy using. In some of my other projects, you will have seen me using Dilutions or even Dina Wakley, which I use sometimes as well. There's the odd time I will use Golden, but I tend to use Golden for some of my creations that I'm actually doing that I kind of fancy and I sell. So I don't use Golden for all of my stuff. But Liquitex is a great paint, and I recommend using that if you haven't done so already. Oh, I forgot. There's one more star after this. I did do 6 stars, and I kind of liked doing them. I could have probably done the whole gel plate of stars because I just like doodling. It's kind of like some people who like fussy cutting or don't like fussy cutting. I'm like that with doodling. Speaking of fussy cutting, I am going to have a bunch more journal videos coming up for those of you who like journals. So make sure that you check out my future videos for journaling if that's your style. Okay, this giant star. This was such a fun page of stars. I really didn't want to wreck it, so that's another reason I decided to trace them and not cut them out, because I really liked the stars. So my last one is just the skinny stars at the bottom, right next to the other bottom one. So just drawing those out, and again, very easy to do, to draw these out, and then just fill in the spaces. Filling in the spaces just makes your image pop more when you're trying to add paint and other collage images. So just having the outline, sometimes it's going to be harder to see, especially if your pull doesn't actually pull that well. So filling that in and then working on our next star. This is more of an, I guess, a tiny star. It's a little bit more intricate. So my tip was a little bit bigger. So you could have went with a little bit smaller fine tip, but this one worked as well. If you want to have another video on using Poscas on gel plates, make sure you check out the link up top to your right for my other gel plate video I had, and I use some Poscas and create some other cool images. So check that video out as well. Hope you guys are enjoying my videos. I love creating for you, and I'm very appreciative of all of the subscribers I have, so thank you very much. So now I'm just filling in this last top star, and then we're going to move on. You could use this for making any kind of art journals. You could use it as card fronts. You could use this kind of technique for pretty much anything. And you could just put paint on here and pull from this. But I'm going to show you using some collages and what does and doesn't work. In my case anyways. So this is what I found in the past from doing things with gel plating. Okay, so with this, I put that on there. I'm just letting it dry a little bit. It's pretty easy to see if it's dry or not because the color will change. It goes from very bright black to a little bit more of a gray color. So I was letting that dry a little bit before I added my paint. So these are two paint colors I was thinking about using. And I agreed that I might use these as a background. So the color I did want to use, I didn't use black, which a lot of people use as black, but the only reason I didn't is because the stars were in black, so it would not have shown up. So this one I used Liquitex's Deep Violet, and I thought I will use that on the sides, and I'm just putting paint on the sides because I really liked this image of these three trees. So I was going to cut out the two sides and put them on both sides of the gel plate. Didn't care about the hair picture or the image on the other side, so I had no problems cutting this. These are some previous ones I did using images from these two books I showed you, and I used the Deep Violet on this one. So this is what happened after I actually pulled from the gel plate, and I'm going to show you what I actually had. So I've used the Deep Violet, like I said. I put that onto the gel plate. You don't need much. Then I put this on top of the gel plate, and after a while I pulled it, and I had some great pulls, I thought. I pulled this. I did use the green color, which is bright aqua green as I showed, and I used that as the background. So I could have probably used a little bit more Deep Violet to have my image pop a little bit more. I also used some other ones. This blue, I used this turquoise. I used this in the background. And I used another one of our images from in the book. I used this one here, but I used white this time. So I did that first and then put the blue on top, and this is what I got. So it does work. Sometimes you just have to be very careful about how much paint you use and you need to be aware of how long you keep your paper on, or your image on your gel plate before you pull it. So that is what I'm showing you today on where you can go wrong with doing gel pulls. So I'm cutting this one out to put on the side. And it's upside down, as you can see, because we want the trees to be our image we're using. And that one will go there. So now the next thing I have to do, I'm going to pull this out. The only reason I did that is so I could actually see, so I wasn't getting misaligned with the stars. I am putting white paper below, and I will wind up using that same sheet as my sheet to pull. So now I'm going to pull the Liquitex Deep Violet and put a couple drops along the side. And that's all I'm going to use. Grab my brayer, and I'm just using a small brayer because I just need the side done. So you don't want a large brayer for this. Use both on both sides, and I'm only going up to where the stars are. So just work that way all the way down. And as you will see in the video, this is where you can go wrong, is on how much paint you add. You want enough that it's going to be able to pull for your image, but you don't want too much, because if you do that, the image won't pull through. So you need to find a happy medium. So you can see I'm trying to put it on both sides. I also have a sheet of paper so you can get rid of your excess ink and just rub that along and get rid of your ink. And sometimes I use those as backgrounds for other things, just with all the different colors. But you need that just to get rid of it, because you're going to continue to keep using your brayer. So working those in, now I'm going to grab my paintbrush. I'm just trying to move some of that ink, that paint, over, because it was getting too close to the image and it was looking a little sloppily. With the paintbrush, I'm making sure that there's no water on it, because it could change up your image, so it's just a dry brush. So I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. And you just want to be careful, because going over those stars, the ink in your Posca pens could run as well. So see what I'm doing here? And I couldn't tell at the time, but I'm making it too thin. You want to have enough paint. So the amount of paint I had before was probably better than what I'm doing now, because now there's not enough ink. So you want to make sure you have enough ink on both sides, and the amount I had before was probably good enough. So now I'm putting this down, and this is another place where you can go wrong. You want to make sure that your images are down for a while. You want them to stick on a little bit so your images have enough time to seep into your gel and you can actually pull them. So now I'm going over it with your brayer. You can use your hands too, just be very careful that you don't move your hands over onto your Posca pen images and smudge them. So I'm going over that with the brayer. I probably could have done more, and you probably should. You really want to work it in. You apply some pressure. Yeah, keep working. There we go. And the main reason I'm doing this video for everybody is I've had a lot of questions about why people's images aren't working, and questions about Posca pens. So I'm getting those in my feed, but I'm also getting emails. So make sure that you have a good a good look at this video. And like I said, I'm showing you things that people have asked me about, what does work, what doesn't work, and we're working on that now. So now I'm applying some pressure with my hand and I'm lifting. This was a mistake. You don't want to lift yet. But also, part of our problem was we didn't have enough paint to start off with for our image to pull. We did pull off a little bit of our star because ink was put too close to the star. So the whole reason I did this was to show you this is what happens. And I did this intentionally so you can see what you should not be doing. So you want to make sure that because we have our Posca there, that it's not too close. Because now we pulled that off because we had paper over top of our image, which will pull it. Okay, so we're going to add our stars back on and see what our next creation is going to be like. I hope you enjoy having videos like this showing you what you can do to make your images and your projects better. This is just a how-to because, like I said, I'm getting a lot of people asking, what should I be doing? Why is this not working? You know, what can I do? What's the difference between Poscas? So that's why I thought I would show you this. So I intentionally am making something that I know is not going to work. And I hope this helps. All right, so now we've got our stars back on. That looks okay. We are going to move on. This is our star sheet. I'm going to leave that for now and not put that on. I love this, the skateboarding cats. I just thought this was so cool. So I'm not going to touch this one because I really like it. We're going to pull out another image or images to put onto our gel plate on the sides and see if the next one will work. So I'm going to grab my book and we're going to have a look. You don't want to have anything too big. Again, we're just playing around, so I'm going to find some images I'm not necessarily fond of, and this page works. So I'm going to have a look at what's on the other side, make sure I don't want to destroy that, and yeah, it looks okay. So I'm going to pull this one out and cut 4 images from this sheet. And again, we're going to see if this does or doesn't work, and that's why I'm not too upset to cut them out. So I'm going to cut out this guy. We're going to put him on and just cut out 3 more. And we're going to put those in the same places, roughly like the 2 corners at the top, 2 corners at the bottom of our gel plate, and see how that works. I'm going to be posting my updated studio tour video here soon, so make sure you come back and check that out for those of you that like seeing different studio videos. I have done a lot since I've moved a year ago. I posted my initial on my new studio because people wanted to see that, but now it has really transformed. I've got it exactly how I want it to look, and I'm going to have that coming soon, so you don't want to miss that. So I've got the 3. And this isn't the typical type of creation I would make with all these different things. I'm just trying to show you different things that work and what they don't work. So I wouldn't normally do an image pull of all of these with all these stars. It's just to show you. So now I'm going to use our deep violet again. I'm going to put it down the sides. Here we go. Again, and sometimes, like I said, this is one of the hardest things is trying to figure out exactly how much paint to use. So you really want to be careful of that. And sometimes a lot of practice, right? Sometimes you have too much paint, sometimes you don't have enough paint. You want to play around with images you don't care that much about, because if they're good images, unless you copy them and they're with usable toner, they're going to be destroyed probably. So see again here, normally I would have thought, okay, now we've got enough paint. That should be fine. I'm going to put my images on. I'm making sure now not to block the stars so I don't pull those off when I'm putting on my images. Trying to find places where all of these images will fit so they don't cover the stars. So I'm trying to find those spots and you put them in there. We're just tapping them down lightly just so they stick for now, and then we will go over them with our brayer. With ones like this, because they're so delicate, it's probably best to use your fingers. Honestly, unless you have a really teeny brayer, because this brayer is a little bit wider. So when you put it down, you have the possibility of moving your star images or to just be removing a lot of paint. As you can start seeing as I'm doing this, the paint is going, unless you don't want the paint there. If you do want the paint there, you're actually removing it right now. So yeah, it's probably best just to go over where the paint or where the paper is with your fingers. So now I'm going over it, and it's very easy to see when you're looking straight down that the paint is being removed by your brayer. So yeah, we're going to see how this works. I'm going to leave them on a slight bit longer than the ones we did before. You want to allow for drying time, so take that into account. I'm pulling this one, and I wasn't liking what I was seeing when I was pulling. So with this one, she did not pop up. So right there, it tells me not enough paint, not enough drying time. This one, there's a little bit of an image coming through, so maybe there was enough paint in that one. This one, when I remove it, same thing, you can start to see some of the image was starting to be left. So now we're showing you, you're starting to use a little bit more paint, but you need more. And this last one, there was definitely more image being left. So you're getting better. You want to have even more paint than that. And it's probably best to apply more pressure, but definitely leave on a little bit longer and not wreck it. So now we're going to apply our bright aqua green over top. And with this one, I'm going to put it in all the areas here and then apply the paint everywhere on our gel plate. So I'm using our brayer. And because all the paint is off of it, because I've been rubbing it off on the paper, you can use this one, or you could grab a new brayer if you have it. You don't want to make sludge between the purple and the blue. So it's going on pretty nicely, actually. So I'm going to put that down. Normally it's best when you're adding colors, you want to leave drying time. So if you don't, you're just going to mix your paints. So as I'm showing you this, you can still see that there's some images popping through. And I thought it was so funny because afterwards I noticed to the left, it looks like that's somebody's lips, or kind of, it looks like it could be even something like Grace Jones or something. I don't know. It looks like a face there. It's kind of weird. But anyways, what I was pulling now are different things you can use from around your house. So you can actually add images. You don't need expensive, fancy tools. I do have a few of those that I can show you, but I'm just pulling things from around the house. So these are two different containers that I use just for paint water. And they're tiny, plus a mascara brush. So those are three things that you could use. You could use feathers. You could use all kinds of things. So you can add those into your creations. Here are 3 different brushes that have different ends. Some of the ends on the ends are paint brushes, which we wouldn't be using, but these ones are all from Art Basics. So you could use something like that. So you can sketch and do different creations on your paint, which is what we're going to do. So with these, you flip them upside down and we're just going to make essentially like bubbles. And again, you can find all kinds of things all around your house. What seems like it might be garbage works. I do a lot of creations with bubble wrap. And you will see if you go past in some of my very old videos, lots of those are on here. And I will be doing more with those so I can show you some beginner basics using different things from around your house. And bubble wrap is a fun one. So now I'm going to take the magazine brush and just make some lines through some of our paint. And this is kind of a fun thing to do. You could even do this with toothpicks, but you want to do it gently so you don't make any holes in your gel plate. So this one has some lines too. It's almost like a comb. So these are some things you can do for different, kind of adding depth and dimension to your creation using your gel plate. I'm just showing you all the different edges. This one is kind of a different one. It's kind of like a chisel-y type thing, so you can draw things with it. It's not one I use very often, but yeah, it also could just remove paint from certain sections. So there's that one. And then this one, it's kind of a little bit of the same, just smaller. Has like 3 little tongs, kind of like a little miniature fork. So you can do something like that. There's lots of different creations you can make using these type of things. Or feathers are a fun one, so I can show you feathers at another time on creations as well. Feathers are a lot of fun. So now we've got our images. We can add paint and that will fill in the cracks on all the different things that we've added. So this one here, I love this color, this green. This is light olive green from Liquitex. I had thought about using blue, but I thought it would be too close to our bright aqua green, so we're going to go with the light olive green. So making some dabs here, and now I'm going to use our brayer and add some of this green to our creation. And our aqua green should have been dry enough because we had the time in between from doing our little doodles and stuff. This should be dry enough to add our next paint. So that is going to fill in the cracks. So if you think of it, it goes backwards. So the first transfers that we did, or I guess the first doodling, the stars, that will be our top layer, even though it's the first one we did. So you're kind of working backwards. Now we're working into what would be the background. Then I thought, you know what, I don't think I'm done. I kind of want to add a color, but at the same time, you want to make sure that your light olive green is drying fast enough. You don't want to add something too soon because this isn't dry enough. So I added white because I thought, you know, it's a final filler. So what I did after this, I grabbed a new brayer because the green on our other brayer was still wet. This again is showing you what you should not do. And this is a speedball brayer. It's a great brayer. And I went over the white and added it to the green. And I mean, sometimes this could mix. So you might have some kind of an ombre type of paint and just it changed colors. This time you can kind of see it kind of started to do that because it's mixing. Our white isn't full on white anymore. So really you should have let that green dry a little bit longer before you added your white. So the next thing I'm going to do is remove the white paint, white paper from behind, and I'm putting it on top. And you can use all different qualities of paper. This is just old computer paper. So you're applying pressure, you're putting that down, just using your hand, and you want to just keep going over that for a little bit. And ideally what you want to do is just leave that till it all dries before you do your pull. You don't want to pull too soon. And I've seen a lot of people do that. You pull it right away, and all you're going to do is get that back, the last couple layers of paint that you did. You're not going to pull everything right to the very beginning because it's not dry enough. It hasn't adhered to the paper yet. So you want to give that some time to let that dry. So in the interim, when you're waiting for that to happen, you can go on and create some other things. And that's sometimes what I do, so I don't get totally frustrated and impatient because you're literally waiting for your paint to dry. You want to go on and you can make other things, which is a great idea. So what I did is I pulled out my other gel plate. This is a 5x7 gel plate. So show you this one. I also have some other ones. I have 3 more that are different sizes, a triangle, a circle, and I believe the other one's a rectangle, but I didn't pull it this time. And you can create things like with those. And the smaller ones, the circle and the triangle, I will be using those at a later date. Those are great if you want to put them onto things like, again, you could use card fronts. You could use all kinds of things, and I will use those and I will show you. I use those sometimes with things that I make in different ephemera for my junk journals. So anyways, this is not dry yet. This is what it will look like probably when it's done. When you flip it over, you can actually see. So we're just going to set that aside and let that dry. So now on to our next one. We are going to use the 5x7. And I will show you things you can do. And this is one of those ones where something that will work. I thought about using the tree, but I changed my mind. I'm like, no, this is just not going to work. I'd like to try something different. And I really like that tree, so I don't want to destroy it. I'd like to do a full print of that. And if I use the 5x7, it won't be full. So I pulled the book, the Duck, Duck, Goose, flipped through, and I wanted to find an image that would look really cool on a 5x7. And like I said, this would be a perfect size if you want to do a card. Ooh, I found it. I love these masks. I thought this is very neat. So why not try this one? Didn't care about the butterflies on the other side. So I am going to use this one. This also would be very cool if you wanted to cut it out and use for collage, but I'm going to use it on our gel plate. So again, Duck, Duck, Goose, and I'm going to use this image. Very cool image. So now, same thing, I'm going to apply some paint, and you want to get the right amount of paint onto your gel plate, and that's part of playing around. So play around a lot. And you'll be able to see what techniques work and what doesn't work. I'm going to be using the deep violet again, just to give you an idea of how much paint I thought you should and shouldn't use. We'll stick with what we've been working with. So I'm going to apply it with our brayer. Some people sometimes use, like if you don't have a brayer at home, you could even use an old gift card, an old credit card, anything that can just evenly distribute your ink or your paint, whatever you want to use, because you can also use ink from stamps, like stamp pad ink. That works too, and we will do stuff like that down the road. I use that quite often. That works nicely as well. Or you can use, alcohol ink. That's another thing we will be tackling down the road. So there's lots of different things you can use. So again, if that's stuff you want to see, make sure you hit that subscribe, the bell notification, and the all. So this is the kind of ink, the amount that I've applied now, that I use on a regular basis. So I'm going to put this on. I'm applying just my hand on here. And this is normally what I do, is I just use my hand, apply pressure all the way around. You want to make sure you get all around your gel plate so your image is evenly transferred throughout. All the corners everywhere. Just keep applying. You know what? I do it over and over and over again. Like, just keep doing it. You can pull it a little bit and then you realize, no, it's too soon. It's not too soon. Yeah, this time I noticed the image was already pulling. So you know right then you put enough paint on. I could have added even more paint. So, but you don't want to have too much. Again, you want to play around and just see. So you can see that image coming through. And you really notice the image once you put more ink on, or sorry, more paint on, and you do your pull. So it will really come through then. So I'm letting this dry a little bit before I add our next round of paint. You want it to sit there and let it air dry. I personally would never use a heating tool on a gel plate. I've seen other people do it. That's not something I would ever do because to me personally, I think it would wreck your gel plate. So trying to come up with another color to use for our background. I didn't want something too close to our purple because I really wanted the image to show up. I thought pink might be nice, but it's too close to our purple. So again, going with what we know, I used the bright aqua green again. Only applying 3 different little bits, or 2, sorry. And with this, you want enough, but you're not doing an image pull with this. This is a background. So I'm pulling another different brayer. This is another speedball again. And you're just going over it evenly, making sure that the paint is evenly distributed throughout. And that's looking good. And then you want to get another sheet of paper. And we are just using a thin computer paper. You could use something a little bit thicker if you wanted to. And I'm going to put that on there to let it go. And I mean, again, I would let sometimes that paint dry a little bit. You don't want to let it dry too much or else your paper won't stick. But again, you want to keep applying pressure, push that down, just using my hand. You can see the outline of the gel plate. Make sure you get all the corners, all the sides. Apply pressure all the way through and give it a little bit of time for that to dry before you pull again. And as you can see, it's not dried enough. So we're just going to let that sit. I'm going to let that dry, give it some time, and then we will come back. And that is what it will look like when we pull it. So I could have used a little bit more paint, but this is the image. Yeah, you could have used a little bit more paint or left that on a little bit longer. So this gives you an idea. It's coming along, it's getting better, but you still need to use a little bit more paint and let it dry a little bit longer on your paper. So this is what it looks like. And again, it's all a matter of playing. Everybody doesn't get it all the time on the first go. All right, we're coming back to our first one. And giving it a pull. Again, this was our playing around, seeing how it worked. We pulled. We didn't get all of the green off, but our stars sure turned out nicely. And see, if you think about it, the stars were the very first thing we did, and they showed up the nicest. So that tells you you need to keep it on longer. So the stuff that we did the most recent was the stuff that didn't dry as much, and it's the stuff that didn't pull. So make sure you keep that on long enough that it will dry and be able to pull. This is a 144-pound weight cardstock, and I'm just plopping this on to try and pull a little bit more off. And there's remnants, but you're not fully pulling it off. So I thought, you know, I think you get the gist of what's going on, what to do, what not to do. I put it on again to see if we could pull off a little bit more. And then, you know, thought, forget it. I'm just going to clean off the gel plate. What I use sometimes is baby wipes or baby oil. And using oil too is nice because it also adds a little bit of moisture, I guess, to your gel plate so you can have better pulls. So I do that from time to time as well. There's different conditioners and things you can get, but I don't buy them. Gel, baby oil is good enough, and you can get that at the dollar store. All right, so now we're pulling off our 5x7, and it came off nice and clean. So right there that tells you we used more paint, we left it on a little bit longer, and the pull worked. So if you had just used a little bit more of the purple paint, your image would have really come through a lot better. So that tells you roughly just how much you need to use, how long you need to put it on for, and the pressure. So that is our last one. This is a lot of fun, and again, it doesn't just always work out the first time. You need to play around and work with it. So again, I recommend using some of these books. There's other books you can get too, but Duck Duck Goose, Neither Here Nor There from collagesoup.com, or you can go and get it on Amazon. It is a great book. For those of you in Canada, you can get it in Canada. It's not just available in the US, and I'm sure you can probably get it other places in the world. But there's lots of very cool images, lots of fun. Again, you can use these for collage, you can use these for your scrapbooks, any kind of different crafting, but they work great for using them on your gel plate and doing image pulls. So I recommend getting these. I love doing this, and I have lots more videos coming up where we're going to use these things. So here is our first one. As you can see, things that worked, things that didn't work. We're going to elaborate on those down the road and do more pulls. This is our second one, and again, lots of fun things, lots of awesome paints, and I recommend all these products, so make sure you check them out. And if you've never done gel plates, I recommend getting a gel plate. They're so much fun and great stuff to do. So thanks for watching, everybody. I hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.